This week on MCrider, let's look at 3 common sayings that you often hear bikers say that are wrong. Hey, my name's Kevin. I'm the host here at MCrider, where I release a weekly video every Friday morning on motorcycle skills or road strategy. Hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. You'll get notifications of every new video. So the first thing we want to look at that we often hear bikers say is the phrase, "I had to lay her down." And that's usually an excuse for poor braking skills, and they had a crash and they need an excuse, and they say, well, I meant to do that anyway.
I meant to do that.
So in my earlier years of riding, I laid one down, and it was because of my lack of emergency braking skills that I laid it down. So let's look at that phrase, and we'll talk about why it's wrong and what you can do to help overcome it. So what are some problems with that whole phrase, "if I had to lay her down"? Well, one of them is that you simply can't just lay a motorcycle down in motion. There's a lot of stuff going on. You've got 2 gyroscopes underneath you that are keeping the motorcycle upright. And as much as you may try to push a motorcycle over to the side, it's simply not going to lay down. What you can do is lock the brakes up and cause a crash, but that's kind of what we're trying to avoid in the first place, is having a crash. But every time you lay a motorcycle down, you're 100% guaranteed to have a crash. The second problem I have with this saying is that your motorcycle tires in emergency braking are going to stop a motorcycle a whole lot better than the seat of your pants will. So by using emergency braking and keeping a motorcycle upright, you're doing a much better job of avoiding an accident, or in a worst case, lowering your speed enough so that when you do have the impact, it's at a much lower impact to you and the motorcycle. So as a rider, what can you do to avoid the old "I had to lay her down" thing? Well, one of the first things you can do is when you pick a motorcycle out, find something that's got ABS on it, because ABS is going to help us in a lot of those panic situations if we grab the brakes or we over brake on a stop, or if the surface conditions are not ideal when we need to stop. ABS is there as a backup to help in those situations. Next, you can practice emergency braking. Whether you got a bike with ABS or not, you need to be on a parking lot, and you need to keep that skill up with emergency braking. Also, you want to practice swerving, because a lot of times braking is not the best option. Sometimes swerving or getting around the obstacle is a better option. And there's another technique that we teach on the field guide, and we've got a video on this as well, and that's the brake and escape. So that's where you use emergency braking and you scrub off as much speed as possible, but the distance is still too short to come to a complete stop. So then you release the brakes and you swerve around the object, avoiding the accident altogether. Now, all 3 of these skills are taught in prior videos, and they're also a part of the field guide, where I've got practical exercises that you can practice on any open parking lot, and how you can set this up and practice these skills on your own and avoid the "I had to lay her down" quote that we talked about earlier. So the next phrase that we hear a lot of riders use that is wrong is that they don't like a motorcycle with ABS because ABS just gets in the way. Well, here's a quote from the police motorcycle Roadcraft. It's a police rider's handbook. And it says, "The quickest and shortest way to stop on a good dry road is to brake to a point just before the wheels lock. Brake as firmly as possible with both brakes, but avoid locking either wheel." So if the ideal manner in stopping a motorcycle in the shortest distance is to get the tires right up to that point where they'll lock up, but don't exceed that, if the tires are locking up or your ABS is getting in the way, you're doing something wrong with the technique. because the only time that ABS is going to kick in is when your tires lock up on the pavement. So let's look at how ABS works. ABS sits in the background. If you don't lock a tire up, you never know it's there. It's never going to get in your way under normal street riding conditions. If ABS is getting in the way of you riding on the street, you either have bad braking technique or you're riding too aggressively for the conditions, causing the ABS to have to kick in. So if you're riding on the street and you feel like ABS is getting in your way, you need to honestly assess why you think it's getting in your way, because it shouldn't be activating at all if you're riding within the conditions that you're allowed and you're using proper braking technique. The third thing that we'll look at that riders say that is wrong is helmets cause neck injuries. So where did this belief come from? It wasn't just something that somebody made up. There was actually a study in the 80s by Jonathan P. Goldstein that he did a statistic evaluation on the Hurt Report and concluded from his studies that the size and weight and mass of a motorcycle caused neck injuries that weren't there in riders who were not riding with a helmet. So his conclusion was riding without a helmet reduced the number of neck injuries. Well, the findings of this original study back in the 80s have not been replicated in any other study. And in fact, there's been numerous studies since then who have come to a different conclusion. In fact, using a larger sample data, much more accidents than what the original study used, they've shown that neck injuries are actually less in riders wearing a helmet than those that are not wearing a helmet. But let's remember that helmets also protect us from more than just neck injuries. They also protect us from traumatic head injuries. And the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has estimated that riders with a helmet are 35% less likely to die in an accident, and traumatic brain injury is reduced by 67%. So, above and beyond just neck injuries, we also have to look at head injuries and how helmets affect or don't affect those types of injuries as well. So in doing my research for this video, I looked at several studies, and the best one that I found, I've got a link to it at mcrider.com/helmet-study. If you want to go there, it'll forward you on to the study where you can look at the helmet's impact on neck injuries and head injuries and make a decision on your own. But it seems that that early study that a lot of people quote, that I think is justification to them for not wearing a helmet, has been disputed, and been disputed in numerous studies since then, that the conclusion of that original study is wrong. So where do I come down personally on the whole idea of wearing a motorcycle helmet? Well, I believe that studies conclusively show that helmets save lives. And I believe that that is the intelligent decision in riding a motorcycle, is for me to wear a full face helmet. It offers me the best protection and is going to increase my odds of coming out of an accident or a crash in a better situation because I've got a full face helmet on. But I also believe in individual rights, and I'll support a rider's right to make a bad decision. I believe they have a right to do so, but I also believe that I have a responsibility to provide the facts. And the facts are that a motorcycle helmet does not increase the odds of a neck injury, or at least those studies are in dispute. But what's not in dispute is that motorcycle helmets reduce greatly the number of traumatic head injuries and deaths in riders who wear helmets. So you've got the information on it. It's your choice to make an intelligent decision and what to do from here. So leave your comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think on any one of these three things. If you think I'm wrong, leave a comment below and tell me so. I'd love to have a conversation with you about it. But I'll tell you where we'll have a better conversation is over on the forums, and you can get access to the forums at mcrider.com/member by becoming a member on YouTube, or mcrider.com/support if you want to support the channel through Patreon. You'll get access to the forums and the field guide, where you'll get training exercises to practice your skills on the street. But more importantly to me, the forum. The forums have become huge. I've got a lot of people on there that are a whole lot smarter than me. They're providing a lot of good content and a lot of good information for riders, and we're having good discussion on a lot of these topics on the forums. So I hope you'll support the channel and get access to the forums, because we got a good group there, and I hope that you'll join us. And until next week, guys, this is Kevin with MCrider, and we'll see you on the road. There are multiple ways to support the channel. You can become a member on YouTube at mcrider.com/member, or support the channel through Patreon at mcrider.com/support. Either way, you'll get full access to the forum and the field guides, which will further the training that we release here on a weekly basis.